Hey, everybody, this is Dave, Flat Earth Dave. I'm here with Andre the Alchemist 369. That's your channel, right?
Yeah.
And we are going to have a discussion about how this realm works. Andre has a model I think he wants to show us, and we're going to start off with that. So, Andre, take it away.
Yeah, man. First off, Dave, I just want to, thank you for the opportunity, and I want to give you your flowers for what you're doing for humanity by waking them up to the true nature of reality and like what this place is. What you are doing is so important because people really need to understand that we live in a creation and it's intelligently designed. And once you wake up to this, you can wake up to everything. So thank you for what you've been doing.
I appreciate it. That's why I did this, because this is the one that snaps people out of their comas and lets them see the world for definitely what it isn't and try to figure out what it is.
Yeah, for sure. And that's really what I've been doing. And leaving my body, I've came to understand that we do in fact live in a creation, a construct, very similar to what Darius J. Wright, teaches. That's a fact. And then once I woke up to that fact, I'm like, okay, how does it work? Like what makes this place tick? How what if we live on a flat earth model, how do we explain gravity? How do we explain the seasons? What are the moon phases, the tides, all of that. So that's what I did. And I came up with these slides that I'm about to share with you. This is a portion of a bigger presentation where I go in to get into about, how the realms are separated and how to implement these things into your life. But I do have a couple slides to share with you guys and try to explain what I've been able to uncover. All right. So the mechanics of this place. This is essentially what this place looks like, more or less. There is a flat plane of existence, and we do have a core. A lot of people refer to this core as the black sun. In a lot of ancient texts, you'll hear a lot of civilizations mention the black sun. And then, there's a sun and a moon and a toroidal field around this place, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, people need to understand the system is engineered, like creation is not an accident. There is structure, there is intention, there is energy flow, and there is containment, right? It's an enclosed system, an enclosed energy system, and it essentially creates a whole circuit. And this is how it basically works. So the core is like the hidden power source. This is the glue of this entire realm, the entire construct. Everything is generated from this core. And what it is it's made of plasma. I don't know how familiar you are with plasma, but plasma is crazy. It's the fourth state of matter. It's plasma is the fourth state of matter. And so imagine a gas substance with all the electrons and ions moving around pretty sporadically, right? Now but they still have a form or a boundary. Now take electrons and ions, have them together, but have them have no boundary, no limitations. That's plasma. And what this does is it causes a number of strange phenomena. And plasma, the 99% of the entire universe is made up of plasma, right? So this plasma here, it generates a toroidal field, because what plasma does, this is just a characteristic of plasma. You guys can look this up. So plasma, when it's static, it creates a toroidal field similar to that of a magnet, right? And this is what creates a toroidal field, is this plasma. So there's a large ball of plasma here, and there's different types of plasma, just like there's different types of gases. We have helium, oxygen, right? So there's many different types of plasma. But what this does is it creates a toroidal field that powers and shapes the entire realm. This is what establishes directionality, what we call up and down. Because when you have a force like this, creating a toroidal field, constantly pushing energy down, this is what gives us the sensation of down versus up, is this, right? And when I was figuring this out, I was like, okay, but how does it really work? And what came to me was, I was in this state where I was leaving my body halfway out, halfway in, and I kept getting flashes of images of this, right? Real big across my face. And I was like, okay, how does it work? And
So
they
you're
were like,
doing
it breathes.
OBEs. You're
Yeah.
having outer body experiences.
Yeah.
And that's how you saw this.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And and so I'm like, how does it work? And they kept telling me it breathes. So what that means is this expands and contracts, right? This is another characteristic of plasma. This is all duplicated. You can duplicate all of this, right? So this expands and contracts. And this expansion and contraction is what drives the seasonal and atmospheric cycles of this place, and it generates the magnetic field that orients all living and physical systems here. And as well as this serves as a communication medium between realms and vibrational states. So everything in this entire creation stems sourced here. And this is what actually creates the breathing field. So the realm operates in cyclical rhythms at every scale, right? We have a yearly scale where, that drives the seasons. The moon phases is cyclical. Everything is cyclical here. Light, magnetism, and biological systems follow predictable patterns, So this expansion and contraction of this plasma generator is what creates the day and the night, the seasons and the growth phases, the tides, gravitational magnetic fluctuations, sleep, wakefulness, emotional and creative waves, right? This creates all of that. And I'll get into how exactly in a little bit, but we can model these cycles as a toroidal flow, energy rising, circulating, and returning, right? And everything reacts to this, right? And understanding this rhythm, it allows us to work with creation and not against it, right? And then this is just a video I have of plasma, right? Because the sun and the moon are also plasma. The moon is not a physical place. It's made up of plasma. It's a different form of plasma. This is a reflective plasma. This is why we are able to see the map of this realm on the moon, right? Because this is generating a lot of energy, right? And the sun is a different type of plasma as well. The sun actually gets its energy from this, right? A lot of people think we get the energy from the sun, like the sun is this energy source. It's not really that. The sun would be like a light bulb, and the light bulb is not the source, right? It's not the source of the energy. What's the source of the energy? The outlet. This is the outlet. So this causes everything, right? So essentially what happens is when you have two smaller plasma bodies and a larger plasma body, what happens is these get caught in a circuit, right? And this is just a characteristic of plasma. And this video here details that, because once you have a magnetic field, plasma rides the magnetic field current. Plasma literally rides magnetic fields. So we'll get into gravity. So what's gravity, right? In this creation, gravity is essentially density and magnetism. Density determines the direction. Density does the sorting, right? More dense things sink, lower dense things rise, right? Everything's trying to find its level. Everything's, level of buoyancy. The toroidal fields provides a magnetic sense of down. So density does the sorting, but this magnetic force field generated by the core is what generates things down. So that's what gives
it a magnetic?
direction.
Is it a magnetic or electrostatic force that says down? Like, is
it's
it's creating a toroidal field and it's all heading down from that field. So is that magnetic or electric?
yeah, that I don't know. I didn't get that far yet.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. I'm not
They're
sure.
brother and sister, so they go side by
Yeah,
side.
yeah. I do know that the magnetic field, though, is what gives us a sensation of down, but that's a good point. I can clarify that as well as
I
I look
talk about the
further into this.
electrostatic. There is a measurable electric flow from up to down, and then density and buoyancy sort everything else out. And then we can
Yeah,
manipulate that electrostatic flow by changing the charge of something, and it goes up, and it goes down depending on what you do. So we're on the same page. Go ahead.
yeah, for sure. And so, what we call falling is just objects seeking equilibrium. Higher density moves in the lower energy regions, just like oil rises above water or helium rises above air. You know what I mean? And structure and flow creates orientation. Down equals towards the field's return path and up equals towards the outward flow. Because the system's always circulating inward, right? So in short, density gives it the structure, but the field is what gives it direction. And what exactly that field is I'm not sure, but there is a magnetic field, for sure, toroidal field. All
It's
right, so
interesting. Plasma is the hottest topic of this year, 2025. I have
is
this
it?
plasma generator that is amazing. Jeff Berwick talks about one he has, and plasma is something that needs to be looked into much deeper.
Yeah, for sure. And like as I was figuring this out, I'm like, oh, plasma is the key. It's the key to everything here. And for sure, I'm going to be looking into it more myself. Like this is where it's taken me to understand the universe is plasma for sure. Um, yeah. So essentially, what happens is, so this is how the sun and the moon ride, right? The sun and the moon follow natural cycles that are predictable and rhythmic, right? These patterns can be visualized like elements in an electromagnetic circuit, right? And when you have plasma caught in a magnetic field, it rotates around it, right? And here's a demonstration of what I mean. Uh, this is just a quick little example. Um, So you're going to create a magnetic field with two magnets, right? This is going to simulate a toroidal field, and the plasma rotates around it, right? This is how the sun and moon are. So the core creates here. I'll pause it here. So essentially, the core creates a magnetic field similar to this. This is also creating a magnetic field with two magnets, right? So that's what the core does. And if the sun and moon are plasma, which they are, they literally ride and circulate around the magnetic field. So that's really what's going on in this model. So this creates a
That,
magnetic field.
you said that the sun on the bottom, the plasma ball underneath, it expands and contracts. Is that expansion and contraction what makes the sun go in and out, maybe?
Yeah, exactly, man, exactly.
Okay.
So yeah. So yeah, that's exactly. And I think I get into that in the next slide. Yeah. So when this expands, right, this is generating more energy. Therefore, the force field is stronger. This is when the sun will rotate around closer inward. I believe it's the Tropic of Cancer or maybe Tropic of Cancer,
Yep.
one of
Yeah,
those.
cancer is on the
That's
inside.
yeah. So the Tropic of Cancer, and that's when we'll have summer in the northern hemisphere, and that's when this thing will be emitting more energy, right? And when it contracts, it lessens the field, and that therefore the sun is then able to ride the magnetic current outward, and that's when we'll have summer in the southern hemisphere, right? And the same thing. So the sun is the expression of this core, and the moon is the reflection, right? There, everything is balanced here. Um, so let's see, let's get into the next thing. So yeah, so inner and outer tracks equals the seasons, energy charge equals the moon phases, right? So what I mean by that is the inner and outer track. So as it's expanding and contracting, we have the sun rotating inward or rotating outward. But the energy charge of the core is what causes the moon phases. When there's more energy charge, we have a full moon, right? Because as the system expands in energy, the moon appears fuller and brighter. This is why when people say, "Oh, there's a full moon," it's getting crazy. The energy is rising here, and things like that. That's because there's more energy being emitted here, by the core. So when there's more energy, that's when we have the full moon. Now, everything aligns with this because the full moon is a time for like peak outward emotional and psychic amplitude, because there's just so much more energy in this place. Human behavior, mood, intuition, they all rise with this charge because the core powers the entire place, right? And then the new moon, when there is no moon in the sky, that's because it's emitting less energy, right? So that's when it's a good time to go inward, self-reflect, and all of that. Um, you know, yeah. So that's basically what I have, and then I go on to discuss why astrology is important, how Tartaria was tapping into this, why the pyramids are all aligned everywhere. Because when you can tap into, let's see here. So with the pyramids, when you can tap into what this place really looks like, and because this is a Stargate as well. This is how you can tap into the other realm. So when you can tap into this frequency of this by aligning the location of something and with certain structural material, you're tapping into this field, right? That's why the pyramids were portals essentially, and energy generators and things like that. They understood this, and with placement, this creates grid lines all over the earth. The magnetic field from this core. And Tartaria was tapping into this. That's why they would ground their buildings, and then using mercury and things at the top of it, they would, I believe I have a slide detailing that. Yeah, so mercury, so what they would do is tapping into this field, the ether, because there's energy all around us. When you ground something to the earth, and then you have a way to receive the energy up top, you're able to tap into the energy of this whole place. And mercury helps do that because it's the perfect conductor for the realm's electromagnetic breath, right? um and you're channeling energy from the core below, essentially. And these structures, they function like antennas. They received energy from the ether, redistributing flow to power the environment. It was literally like energetic participation in the mechanics of this realm. Instead of extracting the energy, you just tune into like what already exists. um and when you line up, and this goes into the whole structure of this whole construct. You know, when you understand all the stars line up to particular times and events within this place, because astrology is so important, because everything in this place is connected. Nothing is an accident, right? So when you start looking at this thing as a creation and engineered design, you start understanding that everything is connected. And this is why you're able to actually locate the pyramids simply by looking at the stars. Like there's this kid from Canada here who
This is why I stopped shopping on Amazon, and you should too. Don't spend another dime on Amazon until you watch this first.
Watch this.
actually was able to discovered like all these pyramids in South America, because just by looking at the sky, by lining up, he found out that this guy was channeling something from beyond himself, and he was able to realize that through mapping out the sky, he was able to find locations of the pyramids here on Earth, because the ancients understood the creation of this place. You know what I mean? So everybody's known this.
Where can we
We're
find
just
more
like the
information
only.
on that, on what that kid did? How
Oh,
so Yeah.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
a video
So
on that or anything?
I don't have a video on it, but there is a video discussing it somewhere. I literally just type in you could type in Canadian teen once discovered an ancient temple using Google Maps. I could see if we can find the video.
Okay, no, you don't have to do it now. I'm sure people are going to want to look into it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would just Google this, and you can find this up. And when I found this out, a couple of years ago, even before I started leaving my body, as I was coming to understand that this is a creation. I looked this up, but yeah, that was amazing. So he was literally able to map it out just by looking at the stars, and
How did
he
you
led
learn
to
how
the
to do? How did you learn how to do it? Sorry to interrupt. How did you learn how to do OBE? Was that did you study under Darius J. Wright or some other way?
Yeah. I studied under Darius, for sure. I found him, like 2 years ago, and yeah, I've been working with him ever since, man. And he's opened up my eyes to a lot. And then what's so great about it is because he has all this wealth of knowledge, but he doesn't just he's not just telling everybody this knowledge. He's like, no, you guys can get out here and figure it out for yourself, and see these things for yourself. So that's kind of, what I've been doing is just leaving my body, seeing these things, confirming these things, seeing that we live in a construct of creation, and then trying to come back and figure out, okay, well, how does it work? And just explain it for people. So yeah.
When people say, what difference does the shape of the earth make? And I say, it's not the shape that matters, it's the lie that matters, because they're hiding all of this information. I mean, it's even more than just information. It's just understanding of who we are and what we can do and what this place is. So they're keeping us as little drone worker slaves for the corporations when in fact we're these incredible creators we should have access to all of this abundance. And that's why the lie. That's why the globe lie is just literally to keep us slaves.
Yeah, man, because as soon as you can understand that we live in a creation, right? And this is a fine fixed place. What's the next question you're going to ask? Okay, who created it? And okay, who put me here? And wait, what exists outside of this creation then? You know what I mean? Like those are all questions that you begin to ask. And when you bring people towards, this space lie, it makes you feel insignificant. You're like, oh, and you think of things in such a grander way, like everything's so grandiose and it's so hard to really understand. But once you understand that, hey, this is everything that there is here, you begin to it just wakens so much inside of you. The first questions are those ones that you're going to ask for sure. It wakes everything up.
That's cool information. I like it. How long you've been doing this for? Like 2 years, you said?
Yeah. I've been leaving my body for 2 years, shutting it down the way Darius teaches it anyways. But before that, I was always trying to extend my consciousness, man, trying to figure out how far can the human consciousness really go. Right. Like, I'm an engineer by trade. So I was always fascinated with the human mind, and that led me to like astral projection and like remote viewing and things like that. And then when I came across Darius and learned how to actually shut my body down and take my soul out of it, that just took everything to the next level for sure.
Nice. Where can people find you? What's the best way to see your work? Do you have this presentation in a video?
Yeah.
Or is this it right here?
Oh, yeah. I have it in a whole video on my website. There's the whole presentation goes over, everything basically, how the construct's set up, why science is wrong, why Einstein's theory of gravity doesn't even work. So the model that all of space is built off of, like there's holes in that theory. And, I point those
Nothing
holes
but
out.
holes. Nothing but holes.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, we can get into some of that. I mean, if you want, but
Sure,
yeah,
whatever you want.
People can find, I have a website, thealchemist369.com. I went over the whole presentation. That's in there. You guys can go in there, create an account and check out the whole presentation for sure. But yeah, so let's get into how, you know, what I've been able to talk about as far as why his theory is incorrect. So all right, so all right, so this entire system here is made up of off of this is made up of Einstein's theory of gravity, and this is where Einstein's theory of gravity comes in. All right, can you see it now?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, sorry about that.
All right.
If you were to take a planet, a ball, whatever it is, a rocket ship, and roll it, it would make a straight line in that space-time. Watch it up on the screen. I roll it, and it makes a straight line. But according to Einstein, if you go and have a star, that star will bend space-time in that extra dimension that you can't see. See, you can't see it bent up over there, but you can see it here. And that,
Yeah, so essentially what he's saying is this would be space. This would be actually what we see, how we can't see it really bent. But in Einstein's theory, the sun is literally bending space-time, right?
bent
This is where the issue comes into play, though. If even if that was true, which it's not, but even if.
space-time, if you roll the ball, see, now it looks like it's going around and around that planet. So according to Einstein, there is no connection between the star and the planet. What you have is the star bending the fabric of space.
All right, so I mean,
the problem with that is why does it bend it down? Why does it bend it every other way? It's so dumb. I say it's not the bending and warping of space time; it's the bending and warping of your mind, because nobody knows what it even means.
Yeah, and even in his model, right? Even let's just say, all right, for shits and giggles, let's just say the sun is in fact bending space, right? Even if it was, when you have a smaller mass like the Earth compared to the sun, they say, what's going to happen? It's not even going to orbit it. His whole theory is if it was moving at a certain speed, theoretically, it could maintain an orbit, right? That's theoretically, but we're not moving at that certain speed. And even if, all right, so in the Big Bang, everything's all sporadic, right? What would happen if you have all of these large masses everywhere? You would have the three-body problem. You know, so even in the chaotic craziness of the universe in the Big Bang, you would have the three-body problem coming out. So it would not be a perfectly designed solar system with planets orbiting stars. You would have some crazy things like this going on everywhere, and nobody's ever been able to even solve that. You know, so it creates his whole theory. It creates a number of issues that like nobody can solve, and it's all built off of assumptions and hypotheticals. Like you need to assume we're moving at such and such speed. You know,
They like to say that mathematical models prove that the Earth is a ball, because you can make a mathematical model to describe anything, almost
everything.
Anything. But they can't come up with a mathematical model to explain the three-body problem, or 4 or 90 or 1,000,000 body problem. They can't do it. So again, the helio nonsensical model is absolutely ridiculous, and it's embarrassing that people still believe it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and I say the same thing. So I'm an engineer, right? And I'm not just an engineer. I was an aerospace engineer, right? So we were making things for space. And I remember at Christmas dinner like 2 years ago with my company, I was sitting with the VP of the company, and I'm telling him, I'm like, you guys know space is not what they say it is, right? And they're like, what do you mean? Like our whole lives are built like that's what we all do for a living. And he's like, I try to explain to these guys what you just said, how you can make a model, they're like, the math checks out. I tried to explain to them how you can make a mathematical model to explain almost anything. It doesn't mean it's true. You know what I mean? When you think in those terms, it's not, you can do that about anything. It's not what it is. Yeah, for sure.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I just wanted to, come in and try to do my part in putting some pieces together for some people and spark some debate. And I hope, somebody out here watching this is a critical thinker like myself and can even help me put more of the pieces together. Like this isn't the end all be all, but it is a foundation of things that I've put together that I know to be true through leaving my body, for sure.
I like it. Hope some people that will be interested in this reach out to you and collaborate, because that's how we get things done. We all put our minds together and try to figure out this realm.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure.
All right, well, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for coming on, and interesting stuff, and I'll definitely be thinking about it.
It's a pleasure to be here, Jeff. Amazing times that we're living.
That's true. And I want to let everybody know that the last time JP was here, he was wearing a mask. So you may not be recognizing him this time because this is the first time he's here unmasked. JP, you're a handsome guy and it's good to see you without the mask on. How does it feel to take it off?
Appreciate it. I think it was time. I think people needed to see my face, because I've been doing updates with Dr. Michael Sala and other channels with my mask, and I've been talking around the world even with a mask. So the last GSIC in Charlotte, I decided to reveal my face to the public, and I think it was time, because disclosure, everybody's talking about disclosure now. So I guess I was waiting for the whistleblower protection to activate before me showing my face.
How has the audience and people that you meet reacted to you without a mask?
Oh, the support is amazing. It's just, I think it's more, the doors open more to talk in different shows, to get different opportunities to talk about my experience. So I think it's better. It's better without a mask. You can feel people better with eye contact, communicating with hugs. With a helmet and mask, it was really hard, to communicate with people.
Where are we at on 3i Atlas? Have you been following up with that?
Yeah, it's done doing perihelium. It did something to the sun behind it that now we're getting the effects. So it's crazy how when 3i Atlas did perihelium, we're getting all these major effects, storms from the sun. So Antarctica, you can see in Chile, you can see the lights there. You can see as far to Florida, you can see the lights there. So something is happening in space that NASA and other government agencies or space agencies don't want to talk about yet. But it's not just 3i Atlas. We have like 740 objects, and it's booming up in, what we'll call it, in numbers coming in our solar system, with similar readings of 3i Atlas. So they're quite smaller, but they're coming in armadas and they're facing Earth, and they're picking that up right now. And that's after 3i Atlas and Swan is heading out our solar system. Now 3i Atlas is heading towards Jupiter, and I think Juno is going to have a really good chance of, hopefully we don't have another government shutdown that we can't get the shots of it. But I think other agencies, space agencies from Japan already has it. But it's weird how the pictures that NASA took, they classified it for 90 years. So it's quite interesting. I think it's going to be when they reveal what this really was and what is sending to Earth and activating Earth with the sun, it's going to be amazing. It's going to awaken a lot of people.
So do you feel that it is a spacecraft, or do you feel like it's some kind of interstellar comet that they piggybacked tech on top of it?
Yeah, I think it's a comet that they piggyback a type of technology on it to activate certain things on Earth and other planets that we have in our solar system. Um, Emery Smith and we talked about this July, like one of the first ones to talk about. And we talked about how 3i Atlas can activate some things on Phobos, some things on Mars, and also activate some things in Antarctica and around our solar system. And after we put out a video in July, and I have it over there on Instagram, you can scroll all the way down to July, and we posted something about 3i Atlas before other people started posting about it. And we talked about it because, you met Emery Smith, he gets a lot of information. He was prior military as well. I get prior information as well from other sources. I was stationed here in Eglin Air Force Base, and if you study what is Eglin Air Force Base, it's the biggest Air Force base in the United States of America. So being that it's the biggest, as in the Panhandle in Florida, and the situation that's happened now in Puerto Rico and Venezuela, I won't get a lot into that, but we have a lot of different types of branches that branch out from Eglin Air Force Base, and now even more that they moved Space Command to Huntsville, Alabama. Now, and that was another good confirmation, because around Alabama we have an underground base that I talked with Dr. Sala, that I went into a mission that they were training Nordics, extraterrestrials were training military personnel pilots from different nations. Basically, the nations that are part of the Artemis Accord are being trained in these facilities in Alabama. So I won't get a lot into the location because of the security of this nation, but the United States has a lot of technology. So basically, Eglin is like the Area 51 of the South. So it's amazing, Jeff.
While we're on the topic of Nordics, you had contact with a Nordic interdimensional angel before.
I live 20 minutes from Alabama and 30 minutes from the base. So behind my backyard, I got a lot of wooded area. Right. And, there's people hunting, there's deers, there's pigs. But behind my house, I don't know if you're familiar with Laura Eisenhower. She came to my house, and I took her back there, and she felt a beautiful sensation back there. So I do take people. I took Dr. Sal already back there. And this location behind my house, I get visited by orbs. I get visited by these beings, Nordic beings, that they talk to me. And if you look at the religious part of it, some people will call these angels. By the way, how you feel when these beings approach you, you feel a sensation that your body doesn't comprehend. It's like a love that you can't comprehend, and you feel a vibration towards these beings. And they talk to you telepathically, but I think it's a type of technology that they use with consciousness and frequency that they can connect with your brain. And this frequency of sound that we can't hear. I know dogs can hear way better than us. So I think it's a type of frequency that is so high pitched that comes out from them for a technology. I don't know if it's a bracelet or something connected into their brain that when they talk to you without moving their lips, you can understand and comprehend what they're saying. So I think for me, it's a type of technology. I don't think it's a like an ability. I think it's I think studying where AI is going and VR, AR, and consciousness, I think we're going to have the ability to have that type of technology and communicate telepathically. So it's a beautiful sensation when you interact with this being. Some people, when they interact, they're in a state of shock and they get scared. And these beings, when they sense that somebody's scared, they walk away just not to harm the being that they're interacting with, or they just disappear, vibrate in a fast sense, and they just disappear. So these Nordics, they have long hair. The Nordics that work with the military, they have a uniform and they got short hair, but you can see that their skin is really pale, really white and pale. These Nordics has been, and I seen it. We picked up a couple Nordics. We bring them inside the base, and a facility, a building inside the base, they change them to look like us. They give them passports, they give them IDs, and they walk among us. Like you could be walking down the street, and right next to you in the car, you could have a Nordic, and you won't know it's a Nordic because they have been changed. Like the change that they go through is drastic. They could change their skin color, they could change their facial features, and we have the technology to change these people. If we study how the intelligence community and how throughout the years the intelligence community have mastered how to change people in order to spy on other people. So they're walking among us, the Nordics. And also on top of that, we got interdimensional beings that we can't see, but they walk among us. These beings walk in a different type of light that we can't see. Similar to the sound that we can't hear, also there's different light waves that we don't see.
How does one person not be afraid of these Nordics or any other beings? How do we control our fear so we can have contact?
So I think that's what the military looks at to choose the type of people that goes on these missions. See, my grandpa, he has been through an experience. My dad in Puerto Rico, he has been through an experience in Puerto Rico. Me in upstate New York, where I was born in Middletown, I started with my experience when I was young, following orbs to the woods, and when you see something that is weird, I think not to panic, not to feel fear, because fear is the things that we don't see, that we can't comprehend, we can't understand what it is. That's what fear is. So, but once you comprehend where these things are coming from and how they treat you every time you interact with them, you learn how to act when they appear. So I think it is by experience. Once you have a couple of these experience, you become normal with it and the fear goes away. But when it happens for you the first time, yes, you do have fear because you don't understand what's happening with you. So I kind of understand these people that have interactions with what these gray aliens or other beings. And yes, there is bad beings out there. And we do have to be careful how we summon these types of beings to interact with. And there's different procedures how to interact with these beings and to know if they're good or not. Me, before all these experience, or now, I still go to church. I'm a Christian. I serve God. I believe in the Lord. I believe in Jesus. I'm still religious, yes, because none of this stuff is going to change my perspective of what is creation and who is God. But yes, if the religion know what's out there, they're going to be confused if they don't know how to put two and two together. We had in the book, I don't know if you ever read the book of Enoch, or how um, David or Solomon interacted with interdimensional beings in the Bible, how Moses opened the waters. It was probably a technology. The Bible, in sense, back in the days, could not comprehend what was technology, so they explain it with things that they already have. So my father was a pastor. He's a pastor. My wife, she's a pastor. You know, uh, and when I went to Brazil and I had my first experience with it with a Nordic, I was preaching in churches. So when I went to this farm and I interacted with this Nordic, I was like, "Oh man, what the heck is this?" So when I explained to people, "Oh, those are demons. Those are demons," but I don't want people to think that, because these beings are they're like us, and we have a lot of different types of different beings. We got beings that live in our oceans. We got beings that look like gray aliens, ant people that live inside our inner earth, that also humans live among them, that in different national parks around the world, they have been living there for thousands of years and taught humanity, like for example, the Hopi Indians, how to live, and certain other types of culture people, how to live. And these beings, they all look different, like humans look different. We got in Africa, we got dark skinned people. In China, Oriental, or Japan, we got people that look Oriental with their eyes. People look different, as well as these beings that are way high level in technology and spirituality, that are trying to communicate with us without making us kill ourselves. So I believe all these technologies, like the cell phone, the AI that now is coming out, is given by these ETs for us to try to get to their level, for them to have more interaction with us, to communicate better with us. And I think that's where disclosure is going to happen. AI is advancing so many technologies, Jeff, that it's overwhelming the scientific community of how fast technology is moving with AI.
Earlier, you mentioned that communication with the Nordics may be done with tech. Is it possible that all that love that you feel from these beings as well is created by tech?
It could be a possibility. We have the technology of frequency that you can change somebody's mood by music or by light or vibration. It could be a possibility that they project that for us not to feel calm when we interact with them. So yes, it could be a possibility that the technology of feeling good and feeling accepted is also given by them. Yes, it could be a possibility, a real big possibility. And also these ships also can be giving out technology as well, because when you interact with these ships, you feel the same thing. If they were an organism trying to communicate with you. So it could be possibility. Yes, Jeff. I believe it could be a type of technology that makes you feel like that.
JP, are you aware of what planet the Nordics come from, or at least what star system?
I'm not aware of what planet they're from. Oh, I know they look really similar to us. If they do come from a different planet, it's like a scattered. It's not just one planet. They come from multiple planets, and you could tell the different types of Nordics that come and visit us. You know, you got the military type, you got the peaceful type, you got other Nordics that are really not aggressive, but they're really straightforward, like Vulcans, you know. And you could tell if they come from different, or you got also beings that look human and they're really tall that live inside our oceans. You know, that also you can they can look like Nordics as well, but they also have by under India and Madagascar, there is a city there that these tall beings that live in our oceans there, they have black skin and they look from African descendant. So it's it's amazing. We have a lot of stuff in our oceans as well. But yeah, I think I don't know the exact planet they come from.
Have you ever had contact with feline-like beings typically associated with being from Lyra?
I have an experience. I had, I think in 2000, I could say maybe 2010. I gave this update to Dr. Michael Sala. I got taken to a dome, and this dome was like it was like to try out new weapons. And this was way before I was in the military. And these people, they have a slit right here, starting from their nose, coming down from their lip, and their lip is separated, and their ear, instead of being here, is more higher, and their eyes, they look oriental. Yes, they look like a hairless cat type of people, you know. And they were training us how to use certain types of weapons. And I noticed that there were soldiers also there with me, but I wasn't a soldier yet. I was a civilian. I came back from Brazil with an experience with Nordics. And after I came back from Brazil, all these experience getting picked up by the military, getting interrogated, uh, interacting with beings coming from an egg-shaped ship from the moon that look Indian with robes and explaining to me how to do things. Beings like that look, their facial features look human, but they have the slit and their ears up here, and they look, you know, cattish, you know. And they had a uniform on, but that was one being I interacted. Yes, I interacted with a being that looks like a cat. Yeah, and but their hands are like this instead of straight. So their hands are always like in the bent position. Their legs are slightly longer. Their ankles are elongated. So I think people could compare them to one of those ancient Egyptian gods in Egypt, you know, that came down and interacted with them.
What can you tell us about the truth apocalypse that's coming?
There's going to be a lot of people talking about different types, and this includes different types of religions that talk about different apocalyptic things that might happen. You know, you can read the book of Revelations. You can also read certain religions that talk about another flood that's going to occur because of the core of the earth. It stops, and then all the oceans starts covering all that was land, and it just switches everything. The equator becomes the north and south pole, and it's just a drastic. I don't know if you saw the movie 2012. Something similar to that. A lot of people talk about, but I don't like to bring fear to everybody about and I know what's happening is going to be, we're going to have disclosure soon, and new technology is going to come, and we're going to have fun with these new technologies. But on top of that, every time there's new technology, there's always somebody that wants to be better than somebody else. If we have things that can manipulate space and time, there's going to be always people wanting to use that as a weapon. So what I say, take care of yourself, eat good, and be safe with your family, and I think anything can happen, Jeff, nowadays.
Would you say that the truth apocalypse is going to be disclosure plus perhaps the history of humanity is going to be revealed as well?
When you say apocalypse, are you saying the end of the world with humanity?
I'm just saying, like, all these hidden truths are going to come out.
Yes, I think all the hidden truth is going to come out. Sooner or later, the truth is going to come out. But we have to be really, really careful, with AI, manipulating certain things on the internet, manipulating photos, manipulating. It's going to try to change the way we see things, and it's already doing it. It's AI is becoming insane. That technology is becoming Terminator-like, So we do have to be careful with this AI.
You said that disclosure is coming soon. How soon?
It's going to come in bits and pieces. It's not going to come as an avalanche. It's going to come down in bits and pieces. And similar to what happened with what's happening now with the aliens, people talking in Congress about UFOs, UAPs, and now everybody's talking about it. It's a normal conversation down the street when it was when you're considered to be crazy when you talked about these certain subjects. Now everybody's talking about it like normality, and that's what's happening. That's how disclosure is going to happen. They're going to start drip dropping and getting the green light to talk about these certain, like, space and time, and then people are going to start talking about space and time, teleportation. Oh yeah, we have something. Japan created something with teleportation and free energy device that can help humanity. Oh, okay, boom. Oh, we found ruins on the moon. Oh, we found ruins on the moon. Also, oh, we're finding ruins in Phobos and Mars. Oh, okay. Under Mars, there's a big ocean that is made by a volcanic cave system that is extinct, but now we know that there's oceans under Mars, and we're gonna have to explore these caves under Mars and make sure there's no life over there. So little disclosures like that is gonna pop out, and then you're gonna have people like me or people like you that share people in your channel that gives out these informations prior, So I got the green light to talk about my experience. It's not in it's not in Congress. It's not, no, but all the things I've been saying since 2008 has been coming out to the light. I think when you start talking about these things and you get the green light, higher people are going to see it, and they're going to start pushing it as well because they know it's true.
Have you been underground and had contact with the ant people? And if so, what are they like?
People can confuse them with grays. Okay, if they take off their antenna type of dreads that they have, because their eyes are big, their nose are flattened, their mouth are small, and I think what happened was these ant people, a portion of them went to space, separated, went to space, and some of them stayed behind in the inner earth and kept their traditions. So the ones that went to space and inhabited other planets has different gravity, different types of animals, different types of air. So throughout 2,000 or 300,000 years, their body adapted to these planets, and now they're coming back to Earth where they originated from, and they look different. So, like I said before, how humans look different on Earth. We got Asians, we got people that have, black people, white people, Indian people. How people look different, the same way the ant people, they have the different types of branches of different types of people that they have. So yes, they can be really confused with the grays. They're a grayish tan color. Their eyes are huge, but they have like something that comes out their head that looks like dreads, but it looks like an antenna, two antenna. So that's why I think the Hopi used to call them the ant people, and all these arts and all that. I send you that video. I don't know if you got that video I send you in in WhatsApp. I send you a video of that, and that is a description of how they look like. And they have technology that are a couple thousand years more advanced than what we have. Yeah, it's not technology like the internet it's just the knowledge that they have on elements. And we got the humans also that live among them. So, throughout the years, there's a lot of people that get lost in national parks, and people have been doing research on that. Why there's so many people getting lost in Alaska or in these big national parks? Because in these national parks, we have entrances that the ant people, they come out and they see somebody that's lost and say, hey, we'll take care of you. Don't be scared of us. We got you. So these people, they end up in the inner earth, and life is so beautiful. We have these people that are living 300 to 400 years old, and the science that they have. Who wants to come back to upper earth, and live? If you're living in the streets under a bridge asking for money, you get lost in the national park and you interact with these beings, it's amazing. And then inside these national parks, in the inner earth part, we also have these beings that look like Sasquatch that live also among them in the distance. So it's not just the ant people that live in the inner earth. There's different pockets. There's humans also that have their own civilizations that is separated from them, but is still connected with the knowledge.
Are reptilians living down there too?
I only interacted once with a reptilian, and I did not get close to it. Their facial features, like I said, it could be also a branch from the ant people, but they just look different. But it is their own. They're really separated from everything. But I'm sure they have their pocket of type of cities that are in the inner earth. But I haven't as much interacted with the reptilians.
What can you tell us about the Space Ark missions?
I know there's a massive ship right now in between Puerto Rico and Venezuela, in one of the biggest trenches that we have that can fit Mount Everest, plus I don't know how many feet left after Mount Everest can fit there. But this massive ship is like 4 to 7 miles big. It's in the Atlantic Ocean. We got another one in the Pacific Ocean. We got other one in Brazil. We got another one in Ukraine. We got another one in Antarctica. We got another one in North America. I can't tell you the location of that because of national security. We got one in South Korea that everybody knows about. One in the continent of Africa, in the Sahara Desert. It's massive.
When you say these land places like Africa and South Korea, do you mean the arcs are in orbit or landed on the ground?
They are under the ground.
Under the ground.
Yeah. Couple thousand feet under. Yeah. Under the ground, and there's tunnels that takes you to these arcs. There's one in Japan, right by Mount Fuji. There's a massive one on the moon that the Chinese and Americans did an expedition on it. They're scattered all around our solar system, around the rings of Saturn. There's two next to the moon called Pan, and a lot of people are saying that the moon Pan, if you do research and you look at the moon Pan, it looks like a massive flying saucer, huge. So, and now we got this 3i Atlas coming in our solar system the size of Manhattan, activating all these, not just arcs, all these smaller ships that probably the Indian culture called Vimanas, that are scattered as well. It's not just these massive ships. There's medium building size ships that are scattered all over the place as well. And I think the military and the governments, they know about these ships that are, the one in the Atlantic is already occupied by the Nordics. They're controlling it. Comes out from the ocean and hovers, and then comes in and it goes really deep inside the ocean and stays there. But right now, what I know, the Atlantic space arc is in between Puerto Rico and Venezuela.
Which ETs are in charge of these arcs?
We got the humans and we got the Nordics that are involved, and we got these interdimensional spiritual beings as well that are involved. They're involved by opening different types of portals inside these arcs, or technology that is so advanced that can transport you from arc to arc. And all these arcs, they're like a cut and paste of each other. So say the Pacific arc, there's scientists inside these arcs and another government that's inside, they can radio or phone the people that are inside the Atlantic arc and say, hey, what do you have in that room? We found this and this and that. And it's in the top right corner, and they give coordinates 3256 5621. All right, let me check it out. They go to the same coordinates of the ship because the ships are all the same size, and the same room, they find the same thing. And these different chambers, all these chambers are in the same location. It's like going to a grocery store over here in Florida. Like, they're all in the same location, the produce section, and you know what to look for. So it's I think these ships were made in space, like factory made, and it was sprung here on Earth. So inside these arcs also, there's languages on the walls with different civilizations, different languages, civilizations that are no more, that they don't live no more. It just stops. And then now you have our civilization. We're putting our information on these arcs. And I'm not saying we're getting to the end, but I think something is going to happen, Jeff. I don't know what's going to happen yet. So it's going to be something that's going to change our. It's not bad, but I got offered a job. Okay, I'm going to say this in your channel. I said it in Dr. Salah's channel, but I got offered a job and I'm going to take it. It's part of an agency that I'm going to work for. And if I get this job, I think I'm going to do a lot more stuff to help humanity, So it's gonna, I just retired from the military August 30th of last year, not this year. So I was a paratrooper. I went to Fort Jackson for my basic training. I went to Fort Lee, Virginia for my MOS. MOS is a type of job that I got. I was a 91 Juliet, and I was another job also that I can't disclose yet. And then I went to Fort Benning, Georgia for my airborne school, and I went to airborne school with uh, Rangers, Green Berets, and also Recon Marines and Navy SEALs. We all go to airborne school together. After that, I was stationed in Eglin Air Force Base, but I'm Army, so you could put one and one together to see where I was stationed. I can't tell you the unit I was in, but I was stationed in Eglin Air Force Base. And from there, so all these experiences happened when I was a civilian, but when I was in the military, that's when I started visiting the space arcs with other soldiers, not just me. Other soldiers has experienced this.
If you take this new job, are you going to disappear for a while and we won't get you back on the podcast?
Well, it depends. It depends what the jobs consist of. I don't have the whole thing what I'm gonna do, but if I get this job, I think I'm not gonna disappear because I get the green light by this guy that works in Washington, D.C. He comes down to Eglin and he says, yes, you could talk about this, you could talk about this, but don't talk about this. You can't talk about this. But I've been working with him since Tampa, Florida. He was there in MacDill. And now he's stationed here in Eglin Air Force Base and Washington, D.C. So when I go to the base and meet up with him, I tell him my experience. He says, okay, you could talk about this and this, but don't talk about this detail. Don't talk about this. So hopefully I could talk about certain stuff that I do. Yeah. I won't have I don't think I will have a problem. I'm already out there. You know, I had a mask because of that, because I was in the military. Once I was a year out, that's when I unmasked. And I could talk more about what I went through.
Some of my guests have on camera these plasma orbs that we look at during the podcast. Do you know what those things are?
Yes, it's a technology that is thousands of years old. Some of these Nordic ships and some of these cigar-shaped ships and some of these cities that are in our oceans, they let go these orbs, right? And these orbs come out and they do recon. They could be the size of golf balls or the size of beach balls, depending of what type of technology they are. And they're like a bluish white color, but when they're not um, glowing in color, they're a metallic color. So a lot of people it could be that what we have with the Buga sphere, it could be one of these technologies, and I think that the Boogosphere is really interesting. They just carbon, dated it, and it's like what 14,000 years old. A lot of people are doing research on these type of spheres. They're finding in South America, North America, and Africa. They're finding a lot of these spheres, and also India. In India, and they just found out that the language that was in the Boogosphere is from India descent, Sanskrit. So I think it's an old technology that is still going around of a civilization that lived on top of Earth, but are still alive in the inner Earth and inner oceans. And it's out to check how the atmosphere is, because I think there was a big catastrophe every couple thousands of years. Every 40,000, there's a major catastrophe that happens on Earth that everybody goes either into these arcs or they go into the inner Earth until everything is clear and then they start coming out. So I just think now these people are starting to send their little technology out to check how the surface is on Earth for them to come out to disclose their existence. So I think that's what's happening.
Do you think we're due for another catastrophe?
I think we're not. I think we're due with a major event that's going to happen that is similar to a catastrophe, but I don't think it's going to be our end. No.
Once this disclosure happens, are you going to be able to speak out more?
Yeah. I think I'm going to speak out more because everything that I already have said is recorded, with Dr. Sala. All the pictures I took with Dr. Michael Sala, you could go, everything is documented. All the information I gave out is already there. So I think people are gonna really look into my experience a little bit more. In Congress, we're still at the point of, yes, we're seeing ships, but when soldiers come out and say, yes, we've been to Mars, yes, we've been to the rings of Saturn, that's when it's gonna get really nutty. That's when people are gonna be like, oh, so that's where the money have been going. Maybe Project Horizon never stopped. It kept going, that project that they did with, I think, with Reagan, I think it started, or no, I think way before, I think in the 60s, or was it the 60s or the 50s I think it was the 50s that they started Project Horizon. And it was a project that they were going to build bases on the moon and bases on Mars and different moons on Jupiter and Saturn, and they just stopped. But they're gonna figure out that project kept going, and other projects that were hidden kept going, and it's gonna be exciting when people start. I've been saying it. I've been around Jupiter. I saw Jupiter. I saw Saturn with my own eyes. I've been around the moon. I'm not an astronaut, but I can consider myself, if I guess, but I don't want to give a stolen valor that I'm an astronaut because there's hundreds of soldiers that go to space and work up there and then come back like if it was another day. Like if you took a flight to New York and came back, So it's gonna be kind of cool, Jeff, when soldiers start saying that yes, we've been in space. We have people up there right now working on the moon. We have people right now working on Mars in the caves of the Mars, of the Martians. We're living exciting times. I think we are. I think disclosure is going to come soon.
Is there a movie or a TV show that's out there that would be similar to what you've experienced?
They have a lot. They have a lot of trip drops. I think filmmakers, they get this information from the inside and they put it out there because they get the green light to. I think Star Trek is a big one. We got Stargate. That's another one. We got The Fifth Element. It's Majority Report. It's so much movies that it interlocks on all these missions and all that. King Kong versus Godzilla going into the inner Earth. That was a jawbreaker when I saw it. So it's there's a lot of movies, Jeff, out there that are drip dropping this information.
Do you think humanity is ready for full open disclosure?
We're never ready, but it's gonna happen. How can I put it into terms? No, I don't think humanity is ready, but we're gonna have to be ready because it's gonna happen. So we're gonna have to really, really get into ride the wave of technology and not fall behind, because it's going to advance in these next couple of years. Technology is going to advance like 50 years ahead or 100 years ahead with AI. So just ride the wave of technology. If not, you're going to stay behind and you're going to be lost in the sauce.
Do you think disclosure is up to the ETs?
Yes. I think disclosure is up to the ETs. If they really want to show themselves right now, they can. But it's also a spiritual thing, the interdimensional. These beings are involved a lot. So it's a mixture. But I think the ETs is the ET's choice if they want to reveal themselves. Yeah. And I think they're doing it while all these ships being shown all over the place.
Do you think that the increase of sightings is due to the ETs showing themselves, or there's always been a lot? It's just that now we can record them since everyone has a cell phone.
It's always been the same way. We just have more phones out there. Yeah, you're right. But I think it's increasing more. Yes, it's increasing more.
What is the name of your YouTube channel if people want to check out more of your content?
It's called JP1. I'm gonna have to change the name, but for now, that name is that name. I put there about my experiences, but with more details, what I have told with Dr. Michael Sala, since I already showed my face. And also, I got an Instagram channel called jp.missions that I put stories there and information that I share as well.
If people want to ask you questions, are you open to that?
Yeah, I'm open for that.
Should they leave them as comments under your videos or message you on Instagram?
Yeah, they can message me on Instagram and ask me in YouTube.
JP, before we finish up, can you leave us with a last positive message?
Always share the love frequency to your loved ones and the people around you. Be always positive and always bring that heaven to earth. When I say heaven to earth, make this a heaven for yourself. Always think positive of everything that you do and love others. That's what I always leave for everybody. The love. You need that love frequency in order to prosper in life. Jeff, thank you for this beautiful opportunity to talk to the people that listen to your show. Much love. Thank you so much.
JP, thank you for your message and for being